Take a close look at the map. While everyone is watching the explosions in Ukraine, the largest land grab in modern history is happening quietly, right under Vladimir Putin's nose. Russia is shrinking not in the West, but in the East. Intelligence reports confirm that China and North Korea are moving into the vacuum created by the Kremlin's obsession with Kyiv. Troops, workers, and companies are crossing the borders, and they have no plans to leave. Putin thinks he's defending historical Russia in Donbass. But in reality, he's selling real Russian land to Beijing just to stay afloat. This is the story of the silent invasion that could reshape the world map forever. We usually focus on the front lines, the tanks in Donetsk, drones over Moscow. But today, we're opening the back door. Russia's eastern military bases are empty. The S-400 guarding Vladivostok's skies, they're burning in Crimea. Elite tank divisions along the Chinese border, stuck in the mud near Pokrovsk. Russia is exposed in the east, and nature abhors a vacuum. Ukrainian intelligence warns that Moscow is effectively trading land for war support. To get artillery shells from Kim Jong-un and financial lifelines from Xi Jinping, Putin is paying the ultimate price: sovereignty. To understand this, think like a Chinese historian, not a Russian propagandist. What Russians call the Far East, the Chinese call Outer Manchuria. For 160 years, Beijing has quietly resented the unequal treaties of the 19th century that forced it to give up this vast, resource-rich land. Now, China is reclaiming it not with tanks, but with osmosis. Millions of hectares are being leased to Chinese agricultural companies. Cities like Blagoveshchensk are turning into economic suburbs of metropolises across the river. Signs are in Chinese. The currency is the yuan. The future belongs to Beijing. The Russian population is shrinking. The Chinese population is growing. Experts call this soft annexation. If China is the economic predator, North Korea is the opportunist. Ukrainian intelligence reports suggest Pyongyang is strengthening its military and logistical presence near the border. Tens of thousands of North Korean workers are heading to logging camps and construction sites across Siberia, providing cheap labor. Some analysts even suggest these workers could act as a ghost garrison to protect supply lines. Why would Putin allow this? The answer is simple and terrifying. He is broke. Russia has started selling its gold reserves to cover massive budget holes. Who has the cash to buy it? China. Beijing buys Russian gold, oil, and gas at rock-bottom prices while providing the technological support Russia needs to keep the war going. But these gifts come with heavy strings attached. Russia has become a vassal state. Putin cannot make a major move in the East without Xi Jinping's approval. The real economic power is no longer in Moscow, it's in Beijing. And the Russian people are starting to notice. Even nationalist commentators see their cities turning Chinese. It's ironic. Russian sons die in Ukraine to protect Russian speakers, while real Russian land in the East is quietly absorbed by a foreign power. China is not a loyal ally. It is helping Russia not to lose too quickly. A weak, dependent Russia sells cheap oil, votes with China at the UN, and distracts the US from Taiwan. Xi Jinping is playing the long game. He doesn't need tanks in Siberia. He just waits until Russia is so weak it falls into his hands. This crisis is not just Russia's problem, it's an Asian crisis. Japan and South Korea watch in horror. A weakened Russia destabilizes the entire Pacific Rim and accelerates remilitarization in the region. Energy dependence deepens the problem. The Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline is critical for Russia to replace lost European markets. Xi Jinping delays the deal and demands prices near Russia's domestic subsidized rates. Russian energy, effectively sold at zero profit, turns Putin into a resource colony for China. Payments are in yuan, and Chinese banks are holding funds due to fear of Western sanctions. Russia traded the tyranny of the dollar for the dungeon of the yuan. On the streets, the evidence is clear. Chinese car brands now account for 92% of growth in the Russian auto market. Russia no longer manufactures these cars. They assemble kits from China. This isn't import substitution. It's industrial suicide. The Arctic, long Russia's crown jewel, is also slipping away. Arctic ports are open to Chinese companies for infrastructure, logistics, and resource extraction. Russia, too weak and sanctioned by the West, has no choice but to let the dragon in. This is a strategic disaster. The Arctic is the future of global shipping and resources. And the human cost? North Korean workers are essentially state-sponsored slaves, their wages funneled directly into Kim Jong-un's nuclear program. Russian citizens in the Far East feel abandoned. Roads crumble, jobs vanish, and local resources are quietly sold to China. Even water is at stake. Lake Baikal, holding 20% of the world's unfrozen freshwater, is being tapped by Chinese bottling companies. As Russia fights in Donbass, its lifeblood water is being shipped across the border. Analysts predict that water leases may be the next concession. Digital sovereignty is gone, too. Huawei controls Russia's 5G networks and internet infrastructure. Beijing could cut off the entire country tomorrow if it wished. Russia has handed the keys to its nervous system to a foreign power. Technology theft is happening on top of it all. For decades, Russia sold engines and jets to China. Now, China is surpassing Russia in drone tech, stealth fighters, and naval innovation. Chinese firms are headhunting Russian scientists. The junior partner is stripping the senior partner of its intellectual property. Step back and see the bigger picture. In the West, Russia burns its army and economy in Ukraine. In the East, it sells its land, energy, and future to China and North Korea. Putin promised to make Russia great again. Instead, he turned it into the world's largest resource colony. The silent invasion isn't coming with guns, it's coming through contracts, pipelines, and debt. When the dust settles in Ukraine, whoever wins the battles, the war for Russia's future is already lost. The real winner is not Moscow, it's Beijing. The real winner is not Moscow, it's Beijing. Russia's vast lands, its energy, its technology, even its water and digital networks are quietly slipping out of Russian control. What once was the heart of a great empire is now a resource colony, managed by foreign powers while its people watch in silence. The Arctic, Siberia, and the Far East are no longer just Russian territories. They are battlegrounds of influence, slowly absorbed through economics, labor, and infrastructure. The yuan replaces the ruble, Chinese companies replace Russian industries, and foreign workers replace local labor. Even the Russian army, once a symbol of power, struggles with the consequences of this quiet surrender. Soldiers fight in distant war zones while the homeland is quietly leased, sold, and outsourced. Russia's sovereignty is being traded piece by piece, not with bullets, but with contracts, pipelines, and debt. History will remember this as the era when the East slipped quietly from Russian hands, not through war, but through the slow, inevitable grip of a rising China and a watching North Korea. And for Vladimir Putin, the question remains, can Russia ever reclaim its independence, or is it destined to remain the junior partner in a world it once led? The answer, for now, lies not on the battlefield, but in the silent corridors of power, in the contracts signed, the pipelines built, and the lands quietly changing hands. The silent invasion is complete, and the world is watching.